In the book of Ecclesiastes, Solomon has talked to us about time, about this life, how time is limited, time is precious. He's also talked about how there is a time for everything. He's talked about how time is fleeting, it is passing away, and we have got to enjoy the time and the life that God has given us and the blessings that He gives us to enjoy, and to know that there are going to be challenges sometimes in this life. Well, Solomon talks a good bit about this in chapter 11 as we near the end of his book. He says in Ecclesiastes chapter 11, beginning in verse 1, he's going to be talking through this chapter about really, I think, making the best use of the time that we have while we have it and while we're young. And so he's going to talk more about that even in chapter 12 as well. But in Ecclesiastes chapter 11, verse 1, he says to cast your bread upon the waters, for you will find it after many days. You know, that's always kind of been strange to me. And I think I read one time because I thought about, well, why are you going to throw bread on water? That sounds kind of gross. But I think this has actually to do, not literally throwing bread on water, but the idea of planting. The idea of planting a crop, that you plant it in the water, you scatter the seed, and you're going to find the growth, the produce, the harvest that will come. So you've got to plant, you've got to work, you got to be able to eat. You got to do this to survive. And then he says in verse 2 about what we have and bread and food and things. He says, give a serving to 7 and also to 8, for you do not know what evil or what disaster will be on the earth. And that is true. We never know what could happen in this life. We know that bad things do happen, bad things can happen. And so really he tells us to eat and provide and share and give and do what we can while we can, because we do not know what the day will bring. We do not know what tomorrow will bring, and it may bring something bad. And so we've got to be ready for that to happen. Then he goes on to say in verse 3, if the clouds are full of rain, they empty themselves upon the earth. And if a tree falls to the south or to the north, and the place where the tree falls, there it will lie. And I kind of wonder, okay, well, what's that got to do with anything? Well, I think he's telling us that, again, things are going to happen. Rains are going to come, trees are going to fall, and the earth is going to continue, as he's talked about in the past, that times and seasons are going to keep on going and going and going. But here's the deal, verse 4. He who observes the wind will not sow, and he who regards the clouds will not reap. So if one is afraid of the wind and trees falling, they're not going to want to get out and plant and sow the seed. If they're worried about rain, they will not go out and collect the harvest. I think here is a reminder that we've got to do the things we need to do in this life and not be afraid and not worry and not be lazy. But we've got to get out, we've got to plant, we've got to sow, we've got to harvest. We, yes, need to be mindful of the weather and the days and the challenges, and live each day as it comes. But we've got to sow, we've got to reap, and not make excuses not to, and not fear and not worry either. As you do not know what is the way of the wind, he says, or the way of the Spirit, some versions say. So as you do not know what is the way of the wind, okay, let's look at it that way. We don't know how the wind works. We know it's there. We know it comes. But to really, truly explain where wind comes from and how the wind works, we don't know. Only God does. Or how the bones grow in the womb of her who is with child. The mystery of life in God's creation. Just as we do not know the way the wind blows, we do not know how the bones grow, so you do not know the works of God who makes everything. We do not know the works of God who makes everything. the ways of God, the wisdom of God. Yes, God has revealed things to us, but not everything. In the morning, then, sow your seed, and in the evening do not withhold your hand, for you do not know which will prosper, either this or that, or whether both alike will be good. So, again, he's telling us with the time we have, we don't know everything. We don't know what all is going to happen. But get out and live. Work. Do. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know. We can't sit around and be afraid of the storms that could come. We need to get out and live and work and be active and live this life while we have the time, while we have the ability, before the disasters and the rains and whatever comes. So get out, work. You don't know what's going to prosper, what's not going to prosper. And then he says in verse 7, truly the light is sweet and it is pleasant for the eyes to behold the sun. True. We like the sunshine. We like the day. We like it when it's nice outside and clear and bright and sunny. But if a man lives many years and rejoices in them all, yet let him remember the days of darkness, for they will be many. All that is coming is vanity. We know, though, as he says here, the days that are sunny and bright and warm and beautiful and wonderful, those are great days and we rejoice in them. But we also know there are going to come some dark days. There are going to come some cloudy, rainy, dark, hard, sad, painful days in our life, especially if we live long enough, live many years. We know that life is going to have its good days and bad days, its dark days and its bright days, and that all that is coming is vanity. It is fleeting. It is passing. Our time is limited. So enjoy the good days while we have them, and hold on through the dark days and wait for the sun to shine again. Well, then he finishes in verses 9 and 10 by saying this, rejoice, O young man, in your youth, and let your heart cheer you in the days of your youth. Walk in the ways of your heart and in the sight of your eyes. Enjoy the life that God has given us. Enjoy your youth, as he's going to say, because our youth doesn't last forever. We grow older and older every day. And there's coming a time when we're not going to be as young as we used to be. We're not going to be able to do things we used to be able to do and to enjoy. So he's telling us, enjoy your life while you're young, but live wisely and carefully and righteously, because he says at the end of verse 9, but know that for all these things, God will bring you into judgment. So we can't he's not saying go wild and crazy and free and do whatever you want, as people say, to, sowing your wild oats while you're young. No, we can't do that, because we're going to be judged by God in how we live our life at a young age. And so in our youth, we need to be smart and walk in wisdom, as he's talked about, knowing that God will bring everything into judgment. And so therefore, he says, verse 10, though, remove sorrow and vexation from your heart, and put away evil, put away pain from your flesh. For childhood and youth are vanity. The prime of life is fading away. So again, make the best use of the time. Enjoy your life, especially while you're young and have these days and what you're able to do and enjoy before the difficult days come, as he's going to talk about in chapter 12 next week. But enjoy the blessings God gives us. Do it in the wisdom and holiness of God. Make the best use of the time. Rejoice in the sunny days. Pray to God in the dark days. Remember that our time on earth is temporary, it is fleeting, it is short. So let's make the best use of it, to the glory of God, and to serve others, and to enjoy the blessings each day that God gives us. Let's remember that today and the rest of this week and the rest of our lives. Let's continue working on this and give glory to God in all things. God bless.